Okay, so first serious snow of the season. Not typically drive too much in the snow, but let's see with regular stock tires on the 2020 Bolt EV how we feel driving in the snow. So winter is here, and now that we're into December, really just a quick PSA here I thought I'd put together, seeing as it snowed here and we had plenty of opportunity to dig out and go on some cold weather charging and cold weather drives, to just put some reminders for what you can expect to see in winter. It's a reminder that range is going to drop, you'll have slightly different preparation, and fast charging can be a bit of a bear when this weather comes along. So let's dive into that quickly and see what you need to know for winter with a Bolt EV. So again, doesn't feel bad at all. It's mostly heavy rain at the moment, or heavy puddles on the floor, but when we're accelerating there's no great loss of traction unless you really punch it, which happens in any not completely dry situation, or they'll slip in the rain or snow. There's plenty of braking, stopping and starting on this little section here. And it's coming to a full stop in L mode with no problems. Just the usual kind of gradually slow down to a stop as you would want to anyway with your regen. Then covering the brake. First thing to remember is range is going to drop. This happens in gasoline cars with lower fuel efficiency. You're going to see maybe a 10 to 20% drop in those vehicles, but people don't notice it because they just fill up, go and use the gas until it gets low again. Electric vehicles, we're much more conscious of what's going on because we have more granular data, and also the ranges typically, unless you're in a very high-end Tesla, are lower than a gas vehicle. So we keep an eye on that. What you typically see is somewhere between a 20 and 30% drop off in range. Really depends how cold your area gets and what your situation is with charging. If you're going off on a cold battery every day because you can't charge at home, that can be a problem, even more so because you probably want to use the heater a lot more, and you're really going to see that cut into your range. In the Bolt EV, the heater will draw somewhere between 7 and 8 kilowatts when it first kicks up and tries to warm the cabin entirely. If you have got charging at home, level 2 charging at least, then you can actually preheat the cabin while it's still plugged into the wall, draw that energy from the grid, and that's giving you, that's not taking away from your high voltage battery, so that's not going to impact your range until you unplug and it starts drawing from the Bolt EV's pack. So you'll get 20 minutes out of a preheat. Should only take about 5 to 10 minutes to heat the cabin properly. You can set that from your app, set it from an Alexa or some kind of smart assistant to just tell the Bolt to start that up, and your cabin will be preheated from the wall. You'll still have whatever you're charging up to as your full charge, and you know, you'll be good to go. After that, some of the things you can do, obviously just cycle the heater on and off. Uses a bit less energy than running it full blast. If you run it full blast, it will continue to draw that 7 or 8 kilowatts for a little while. The best way to, if you want to keep the heat running, is to probably put it on a slightly lower setting, keep the heat on, but put it on 1 or 2 for the fan, and then it will settle around 2 or 3 kilowatts and you'll have a lower draw, just to keep the cabin that you've already warmed a little bit topped off, and you know, keeping the windscreen defogged, all that good stuff. Weight of the car certainly helps it feel planted. That's going to be the case with any, there we go, a bit of extra ploughing. Be the case with any battery electric vehicle with a substantial battery, you're going to feel that weight keep you a bit more firmly planted to the ground. And then the other thing to remember with the cold weather is that trying to fast charge a cold battery is hiding to nothing. You're going to see much slower rates, down to 15 or 20 kilowatts compared to the maximum of 50-55 kilowatts in one of the 2017, 18 or 19 models, and still only at 30 kilowatts as we see here with the test we've just done to see how it fast charged on those 150 kilowatt Electrify America stations. 2020 Bolt EV with slight improvements still just charges at 30 kilowatts whilst the battery is cold, and will eventually get that battery up to the kind of 60-70 degrees Fahrenheit temperature after maybe 30 minutes or so, a bit more maybe depending on the temperature outside. And that's going to take a while on a per minute charge. Like an EVgo, that's going to be a bit of a nightmare in terms of cost. Not so bad on Electrify America because their rates are lower, and if you're in a per kilowatt hour state, it's really not going to matter. But again, just bear in mind that you really want to be fast charging when you're a long way into that journey. So having started at home on the road trip from full 90-95% or 100% if you're going all the way, and then leaving pretty soon after you've hit 100%. And then you're going to drive as far as you can, as far as your comfort allows you to get to your next charging destination, hopefully starting around 10% and allowing that journey time and the fact that the car's had some time to warm up the battery and just be in operation to heat yourself up and not start from such a slow rate. Turn there, no spin out or loss of traction on the tyres. Pop in here, get some groceries picked up from curbside and see how the car does on the way home. Shouldn't be too much heavier, but we'll try it in D, see if it makes a noticeable difference. Okay, so snowing here now pretty heavily, groceries picked up. As I say, we do not usually drive in the snow, we'll usually let it pass, but we happen to have a grocery pickup timed and decided to go for it. And it's still not too heavy, but we'll see how the way back does in D. So again, just a reminder for anyone who's not totally familiar with the Bolt, the D is the regular driving mode, so there is some level of regen, and you still have your regen on demand paddle back here on the steering wheel, left side of the steering wheel. So you do have an opportunity to get full regen in D. It's just not so aggressive when you lift off the throttle. If you pop it down into L, that's how we were driving on the way here. That's full regen, and you can still use the regen on demand to get a little more. Not that you really want to in the snow here. Tendency is to drive in D when it's snowing, if in the few times that we do drive in the snow. Just to give a bit more regular car feel. You're going to cover the brakes a bit more often and be using them more to slow down than the regenerative braking. So it's not impossible, it's just one of those things that feels a bit more natural. You're not really thinking so much about efficiency and how well you're doing on the energy usage. You're just really trying to get home in one piece and not knock into the back of anybody for the sake of a little bit of extra energy coming back into your pack. So we'll turn this around here and we'll drive in D on the way back, see how we go. There we go then, first real snow of the winter here, or meteorological winter at least, and you can see at the start quite a nice comparison. It was early on when we started, not too much snow on the ground and plenty of cars going by to track it up a little bit and keep the roads clear, so we were able to drive in L all the way up there and not too much slippery conditions. You know, traction was pretty much fine. You could start to feel it get a little squirrely along some of the sections, but not too bad at all. On the way back here, popped it back up into D, the regular driving mode, with just a bit less regen and covering the physical brakes. Slips here and there on the back roads around the grocery store section. You could certainly see that being much more challenging. You know, it wouldn't want it to get much more packed than that in this front wheel drive with low rolling resistance tires on. But again, the roads around here are pretty well plowed, so we don't get a whole lot of time to really test it with snow on the ground. I do think if you're in anywhere that is prone to getting snow and not plowing those roads, you will want to get any kind of snow tires on. Nokian Happelitas, people always swear by. Michelin Ice X. In an area that is going to have snow on the ground for a good chunk of the year, get those snow tires on come winter and you'll be in good shape. So that's it, quick winter tour. We'll do a bit more tomorrow hopefully, but hope it was useful in some way, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.